Hey, everybody. It's April 13th, 2020, and we are in lockdown still. Today, I have a couple of different offerings. The joke for the day is why did the cowboy get a dachshund? Because he wanted to get a long little doggy. My essay today is on prisons and putting things in their place. I wrote this, I think, in 2016 and getting you all caught up on all the things that I never posted on YouTube or on the Mind of Marlin shoe. So let's get into it. America is dealing with both a financial and social crisis that has reached the boiling point. It is particularly acute right now given the COVID-19 crisis. Due to funding shortages, communities have to close prisons and either release the inmates onto the streets or ship them elsewhere. These criminals and prisons are no longer going to get the funding they need because the American people can no longer get the funding they need. It costs about $45,000 every single year to house one criminal. Turn that into a 10-year mortgage, and you have a house that's worth $500,000. It's an indignity that all that money went into rent, but it could have gone into equity. Or better yet, never left the pocket of the taxpayer where it belongs in the first place. My plan? Take all the hardened criminals, the ones that are violent repeat offenders, and offer them a choice. Life behind bars or the Prisoners in the Pacific Paradise program. Easy to see which one they would choose. They would live in a place where they could watch the sunrise and set into the ocean, swim at the beach, fish, sit under the shade of a palm tree. Sounds idyllic, right? And perhaps you would be outraged that they aren't suffering more for their crimes. Thing is, this land is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and the only people on it are the criminals. There are no stores to rob, no innocent bystanders to get gunned down, no children to influence or harm. The places they live have no locks because there's nothing to steal except maybe your neighbor's fishing pole and cooking pot. It would no longer put prison guards in danger, as all we would need is one ship stationed off the island to make sure nobody ties together a bunch of coconuts like Steve McQueen and Papillon and escapes. The inhabitants are given the tools to forage, fish, and farm for their food, so they will be so occupied, just like our ancestors were, that there will be very little time to get into trouble. Now, it could descend into a Lord of the Flies, and it becomes tribal, clannish, and there would be turf wars and killings. But how is that any different than what's going on right now in cities? Besides, some Hollywood producer would probably put a hidden remote camera to make it a reality show. Think classic British thriller, The Prisoner, meets Survivor with a Gilligan's Island twist. Believe me, they'll find a way to make it funny. It costs hundreds of billions of dollars to maintain our current prison system, and these environments could hardly be called humane. Perhaps it is time to try something other than suppression and containment business plan. Sending criminals to far-flung regions to fend for themselves is nothing new, and it is how Australia started, and their first guest arriving in 1788 at Botany Bay. It was so popular that Star Trek number 22 aired in 1967 called Space Seed, and again in 1982, Wrath of Khan, and they were in a ship called the Botany Bay. But that is a throwback and a tangent. In real life here on Earth, the first free settlers came to Australia to join the convicts within just 5 years, and they turned out to be right nice mates. Now, you're going to have a lot of these empty prisons, and they're going to be skanky and awful. The remedy is to give all of these abandoned prisons over to artists who are poor, and they will live any place so long as they can make their art. Artists have such a passion for making things beautiful that they have the capacity to change entire districts and cities. In New York City, the Village, Soho, and now Brooklyn are examples of how artists and communities can change the value of real estate big time. Let a few hundred artists move into the prison and do their thing. Murals, sculptures, performance art, and all manner of expression will spill forth and attract people to this new live work entertainment domain. Before long, it will attract the people with money, like the lawyers and hedge fund managers. They will see how trendy and cool it is to live there, especially with all the bars, and will slowly but surely force out all of the artists who've worked so hard to create a desirable living space. The rents will start to creep up, and overnight, it will no longer be affordable for artists. It will become gentrified. It won't take long. It will be only the lawyers, hedge fund managers, and others of the moneyed class who can pay the price, and there will be an outrage and cries of foul by community activists. But this time it will be different because now we have them where we want them. Who has the key? Hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple of days. Stay safe, everybody. All we have is each other. Aloha.